Okay, so far things have been pretty straightforward. We made our biscuit roulade and rolled it up with a raspberry jam, and it's in the refrigerator right now, getting nice and cool before we slice it up. So the next step is the Bavarian cream. This is like most custards and things of that sort, temperature is very important. So I'm going to use a digital thermometer for this. Okay, a third of a cup of sugar. Salt, just a pinch of salt. This is some nice sea salt, so a pinch of salt. Egg yolks. I've got 5 eggs that I separated a while ago. I now have 8 egg whites, so guess what I'll be having for lunch. Let's see, gelatin. A tablespoon of gelatin that's more than one envelope full. So a tablespoon of gelatin distilled from the hooves of your favorite bovine animal. And we're just going to stir that up. Now there's no heat on this pan right now. Just want everything nice and well blended, nicely stirred up. Okay, and then into my other pan, and if you have a pan with a pourry thing on it, it's handy to have for this particular thing. I'm going to take 1 2/3 cups of whole milk. Some people might say, well, could you use skim milk? And to which I would say, bitch, get out of my kitchen. And I'm going to take a vanilla bean. First thing we're going to do is we're going to split this with a knife, which means we're going to cut the length of it on one side, but not all the way through. And then we're just going to kind of spread that a little bit. Normally, you would split it and then open it up and scrape the beans out. And we will be scraping the beans out, but not just now. You just want to kind of crack that open a little bit so the milk gets access to the vanilla. And let me do this other little piece. It's not the freshest vanilla bean I've ever seen, even though I just bought it this morning. Sometimes it's good to shop in a store that has a lot of turnover, so you get fresher spices. Anyway, into the milk, and then we're going to turn the thing on here and heat this until it's boiling. So if you've paid any attention to the recipes that I post in various places, a lot of the cooking that I do, it's all about low sugar, low fat, low salt, high quality organic ingredients and so forth, clean foods, clean eating. And then other things like this are just sort of the opposite, where it's all whole milk and cream and egg yolks and cholesterol and fat and butter and sugar. And there's a time and a place for everything, and this is the holiday season, so this is when we celebrate with extravagant food. I read somewhere where it's not what you do between Thanksgiving and Christmas that counts. It's what you do between Christmas and Thanksgiving. So most of the food that I eat most of the time is going to be clean food with without processed sugar and without much salt and without much fat. But when we're celebrating, you got to go for for the whole deal. So I guess my cooking is a little bipolar from that point of view. This is another tool that's just awesome. It's a little mini whisk. If you're ever making sauces or custards or anything that you need to keep stirring continuously, especially if it's it's not a big pot of something where you could use a big whisk, this thing is ideal. And our milk is just about boiling here. Milk with vanilla bean in it. So what's going to happen is I'm going to pour just a little bit of it into the egg yolk mixture. Stir that up, and a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. The idea is to not shock the egg yolks. If you shock them, they might curdle, and we don't want that to happen. So again, there's no fire under this pan. So I'm going to pour in just about a tablespoon of this into my egg yolks. And another. Including the vanilla bean. I see that I've left quite a bit of vanilla bean in my pan, so I want to go ahead and get all that out as much as I can. Okay, so now I'm going to move this over here where I have fire and put in my thermometer. What we want to do is we want to heat this to between 170 and 180. At least 170, but certainly not more than 180. If you go above 180, then we are likely to curdle the eggs, and we don't want to do that. Remember, there's gelatin in here, the egg yolk, so what we're trying to do is to get it warm enough to set the eggs, warm enough to activate the gelatin, but not so hot that we curdle the eggs. So we're at 162 now, 177, 178. Okay. So now I'm going to pour it through a strainer into a bowl. Take out my vanilla bean, and I'm going to squish the rest of this that didn't go through the strainer through the strainer. Now I'm going to take the vanilla bean and scrape the seeds out. When you cook, especially when you bake, it's always good to use whole spices and fresh spices if you can get them. If you're going to do a lot of baking, you can buy vanilla online, fairly cheap, and it's just really good stuff. It's so much better than what you get in the store. So now I'm going to whisk that all together and break those seeds up. Then we need to put this into an ice bath. An ice bath is just a bunch of ice and cold water, and then we'll dip the pan into it, and then we'll stir it till it starts to thicken. also a good way to empty out your ice maker. If you're like us and don't really use a lot of ice, you end up with you know, old ice. Back to my big whisk, and we want to just whisk it around until it starts to thicken, and you'll know that it's gotten thick because you'll be able to see the lines left by the whisk as you turn it around. Okay, so now it's getting nice and thick. As you move the whisk around, it leaves traces behind, leaves lines. So what we're going to do is move this into the refrigerator. Because we've got to take our refrigerated biscuit rouleau and line our bowl to make the Empress. Okay, so what we need to do now is build our shell for the Scarlet Empress. So I'm going to take a bowl about this big. I'm going to spray the inside with cooking spray. Then I'm going to take some plastic wrap. And this time I'm actually using the crappy regular plastic wrap because I don't want it to stick. I don't want it to cling. I just want to make a barrier there. So this thing will be easy to take out of the pan. Okay, so you just want to put that plastic wrap loosely into the bowl. Smash it down as flat as you can get it. You don't want any imprints to show up on the cake. Then we take our biscuit roulade out of the foil. And we want to cut it into 1/4-inch slices. So that you get something that looks like this. So the very first one is going to go right here in the middle of the top of the pan. And then I'll do a ring around that and then a ring around that. And if we've been very good, we'll end up with just enough cake to line the pan deep enough to accommodate all of the Bavarian cream that we're making. If we haven't been good, then we'll just be screwed. So this is what it looks like so far. Once you've got the first layer like that in there, it's a good idea to go ahead and cut up the rest of your roulade so you can count how many slices you have. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Now I'll need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next row would be 7, that's 13. I think we're maybe in good shape, so I'll put the next row around. going to take half pieces of what's left and fill in the last couple of little gaps here. And we have a piece left over. I've also got my emergency piece here if I actually need to make it any bigger, which I don't think I will. That's good. Once again, I'm going to cover this with plain crappy plastic wrap. I really hate this stuff. I was so happy when they finally came out with press and seal. This stuff just has always sucked. Okay, then I'm going to take a nice clean dry towel and sort of stuff that in there just to keep it, let it keep its shape. Now, back to the Bavarian cream. So, I've got a mixer bowl in the refrigerator, refrigerating. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to put a cup of whipped cream in it, and then I'm going to whip it until I get nice soft peaks. Okay, I think we're there. The definition we're going for here is when you drop it, it makes nice little mounds. You don't want to mix it too much because it turns into butter and that's not what you want. So, take my whipped cream. And my custard. Wow, which has gotten amazingly set. I'm going to pour this in here. So you just want to, again, fold it in until the cream is incorporated. Then we're going to add a little bit of cognac. You can also use Kirsch, but even I'm not gay enough to use Kirsch, so we're going to use cognac, just a tablespoon and a half. Custardy. Okay, so we're almost there. Now we're going to take the crappy plastic wrap out of our molded cake, and we're going to add the custard. And the level of the custard is not quite as high as the shell of the cake. We're about an inch shy in certain places, and that's just fine. That's what we're supposed to do. So now we go back and we get our cake bottom that we reserved from earlier. Okay, so I'm just going to trim the edges off of this saved piece. You can also do that with scissors. So now I have a more or less round piece of cake. I shouldn't have jelly on it, but I do, so the jelly is going to go down just as though I had dropped it on the floor. And then we'll have the non-jelly side will be the actual base of the cake. So remember, this you want this to be inside. You don't want it, you want the jelly rolls to go all the way down to the bottom. You don't want a layer of cake underneath, so you want this piece to be inserted inside the rim. And that looks just about perfect. Cover this again. And again, we're doing this so the cake won't dry out. I'll just cut this down the side. That on top, and let's see, then I'm going to put, what I want to do is I want to weight this down a little bit so that while it cools and sets, it'll have a little weight on it. And I think that might be all I need right there. I mean, we're not trying to squish it, but, just a little bit of pressure. Okay, so this then now goes back in the refrigerator for 4 hours. After 4 hours, we'll take it out. We'll trim that little bit of cake off. We'll flip it over. We'll coat it with some apricot stuff, and then we'll have our Scarlet Empress. Okay, so we are almost done. It's been 4 hours, 4.5 hours. So this should now be nice and set. I'll take away my cardboard. I'm going to take top layer of plastic off, and you can see how irregular the crust is. So I'm going to get a little knife here. And I'm just going to go around and I'm going to trim that little extra crust off, even with the top of the cake. Okay, now what I'm going to do is get this cake from here over to here. So I have a little cake carrier. It's not a particularly nice one. I got it at a garage sale, but it'll do. I want to put the cake on this foil, but I'm also going to glaze it, so I want to put pieces of parchment paper underneath it, so when I glaze it, they'll catch the extra glaze and then I'll slide these things out. So in order to make that happen, I'm going to put just a little bit of glaze in the middle of this, and that'll serve the purpose of not only holding the cake, but it'll hold these little sheets of paper. Something like that. And now I will flip this over onto the plate and everything will be perfect. And surprisingly, it came out okay. So I just need to center it on the plate a little bit. Now I've done the same thing that I did earlier, which is take some preserves. In this case now it's apricot, and I heated it up in the microwave. And I want to add just a little bit of cognac to it, just a couple of teaspoons, just to give it a little bite. I take my brush and brush the apricot preserves over the cake. You want it to go on, as thickly as it can, keeping in mind that it will tend to want to run off. And there will also be some chunks of apricots in here that you don't really want on your cake. I suppose you could have run this through a strainer or put in a food processor first to kind of get rid of some of those chunks. But you want to make sure that everything is coated well. That looks pretty decent. Now we're going to pull the paper out from underneath. Hopefully that won't pull my crust apart. Well, I can't say that it was all that successful, but whatever. So, here it is. The Scarlet Empress. Now I've got one more little thing to do. As y'all know, I worked up at NASA, so this is for my NASA group. So I'm going to take this little solid 24 karat gold exact replica of the Eagle Lander with a little spaceman on it. Not really, it's really just brass. And I'm going to put him on top, alright, like so. And then I got on the computer and made me a couple little flags, American flag and NASA flag. And let's see, so this is the front, so I will put these on the side, like so. And there is our NASA appropriate Scarlet Empress. And this is Sunday. Lunch is on Tuesday. This will keep fine in the refrigerator, but I'm going to go ahead and freeze it just to make it easier to transport and not have to worry about it, collapsing. You can freeze it 2 or 3 weeks without any issue, without any problem. So it's a good thing you can make early, especially if you're going someplace, like for Christmas dinner or whatever. You can freeze it. You can put it in the car. You can drive 4 hours to Dallas or wherever it is you're going, and it'll be good. Let's just see if this is going to fit. It looks like it will. I'm a little concerned that this stuff might be too tall, but it looks good. So just make sure we got a good shot of it. I can't really see what's going on with the camera, but this is it. Scarlet Empress, NASA style.